Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, November 17th special meeting of the Walnut Creek City Council. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Brown Act as currently in effect under State Emergency Services Act, the Governor's Emergency Declaration related to COVID-19, and the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20 issued on March 17th that allows attendance by members of the City Council, city staff, and the public to participate and conduct the meeting by video conference. Video conference locations are not open to the public. To provide a live remote comment for this section, please join the Zoom video conference meeting. The address is webinar ID 942-8305-2648. Again, 942-8305-2648. Password is 421439. That's 421439. When I open the public comment period, please use the raised hand feature or press *9 if you're connected by audio only. That will alert the staff that you have a public comment you would like to provide. We ask that everyone who wishes to speak on an item, please raise your hand feature to state your intent to speak when the item is called. Please wait your turn. Once brought into the meeting, state your name and the city of residence for our records. As the council is conducting these meetings via video conference, and given the COVID-19 pandemic and the increased number of speakers that have wanted to make comments on various issues during our meetings, and consistent with city policies related to public comments, each speaker will have 2 minutes to make your remarks. The council will accept oral comments. Written comments submitted have been and will be posted to the city's website for public review and are included in the meeting record, but will not be separately read for the record. Under California law, public comments at special meetings are limited to those subjects on the agenda only. Does any member of the public wish to comment on the closed session items? If so, please use the raised hand feature or press *9 if you're connected by audio, if you would like to make a public comment. As a reminder, each speaker will have 2 minutes to make their remarks. The Zoom feed for each speaker will cut off automatically at the end of 2 minutes. At this time, I ask the city clerk if there are any members of the public who would like to provide public comments.
Mayor, it does appear that we do have members of the public wanting to comment. We will go ahead and start bringing them in. First, we have Kristen.
Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much. This is my first time attending this sort of meeting. I was going to comment on 2B.
Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So I'm Crystal Maffney. I'm a very proud resident of Walnut Creek. I absolutely love it here. I bought a house in the Heather Farms development, a stone's throw from the intersection of Kinross and Marchbanks. So when I learned of the speaker project, which is agenda item 2B, I did a Zoom call with the developers to learn more, which elevated my interest into concern. I do understand that the property is in unincorporated Walnut Creek, but from my conversation, it became clear that there'd be 2 immediate impacts. First is environmental, including drainage into the surrounding area once the land is graded. And second, traffic from the addition of hundreds of cars a day, which would use Marchbanks feeding into Ignacio. And if you don't know it already, Marchbanks is a super weird street. To go to Costco, I have to either go in the opposite direction and double back, cut through Heather Farms Park, or go through Kinross, and there's like 1,000 speed bumps there. So if you multiply that dilemma by 300 plus employees a day, plus residents, visitors, and delivery trucks, feels like it's going to have an impact on traffic as a whole. So I'm the daughter of a civil engineer, and I've worked on science-related programming such as Mythbusters for the last 20 years. I believe in data. So I think the council needs more time to study the proposed development for Seven Hills Ranch and its impact on the city. So I'm asking that the council hear public input before approving the sale of the Kinross extension. The county won't complete its evaluation for months, and so I'm not sure why the city would approve the Kinross sale now before hearing public input and evaluating how its residents and its infrastructure will be affected if the plans go through as currently proposed. So I implore the city to please take a beat for further study before giving away this opportunity to influence that land use, because I do think the impact will be felt much more widely than people realize. And thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Michelle Sheehan.
Let's try this again. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Michelle.
Okay, we're ready
Welcome.
to go. Ready and start. Thank you for your service to the community and your efforts during this challenging COVID times. It's definitely appreciated. I'm Michelle Sheehan. I'm a resident of Walnut Creek. I'm speaking here on behalf of an organization called Sensible Walnut Creek Save Seven Hills Ranch. I have in front of me a petition with 761 signatures and comments from mainly Walnut Creek residents asking that the county deny the request for a GP amendment for Seven Hills Ranch. Seven Hills Ranch is directly adjacent to the City of Walnut Creek's public Heather Farm Park, and the county risks losing forever an important piece of Walnut Creek's natural heritage. Heather Farm Park gets close to 1.5 million visitors a year. The petition asks the county to deny the developer's amendment request and consider a use more in keeping with the Seven Hills Ranch location, natural habitat, scenic views, and intrinsic beauty. We believe and hope that each of you would want to protect your city's residents. We ask the council to delay any decision on the Kinross extension until the county acts on the request for the GPA, which is not expected to take place until next June. By waiting, the council retains the opportunity to influence the county in accordance with your residents' desires. Should the city want to sell the Kinross property, you might consider making it available to nearby homeowner associations at the appraised price with a conservation easement. That is, it would be conserved and not available for resale. Given the strong amount of public interest, we request that the council exhibits transparency and holds no further closed sessions on this matter, and that the minutes of any closed session be released. This matter greatly affects our community, our neighborhoods, and our park. It needs the public light along with the opportunity to comment. We request all correspondence, including the appraisal and all other communications between the developer, the city, and the individual council members be made available to your citizens. I got through it. Thank you very much.
Good job. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Nancy Vasco.
Nancy, you might be on mute.
Now you can see me. Hi, my name is Nancy Vasco. Thank you. I'm a resident of Walnut Creek. It concerns me that this is a closed session and there be transparency about what is happening with the sale and the development of this property at the end of Kinross. I too would like you to delay any action until after the public has had some input and we have a chance to chime in and be a part of it, being a resident that is nearby. Just as you wouldn't leave the gate to the henhouse unlocked and open for raccoons or foxes, you should not give this developer the key to the treasure chest without fully protecting the citizens of our community. I would love to see this beautiful property preserved. I met Sheridan Hale back in 2009 while out walking and strolling in the evening. bumped into him while he was feeding his feral cats. This became a regular occurrence, and I walked the property with him many times, watching the sunset and talking to him. He loved his property. It's a beautiful piece of property. It has wildlife. It has a stream, rolling hills. It is just beautiful. And it is adjacent to Heather Farms Park. I would love to see it preserved, be a part of the park, and continue on that all the people of Walnut Creek can enjoy it. Thank you for your service.
Carol Weed.
Hello. I'm Carol Weed. I'm a multi-year resident of Walnut Creek. I live at 1277 Avenida Sevilla. My concern about this small piece of property that the city council has control over is mostly environmental. And it may seem unusual to have such a small little piece of property at the end of a road have an environmental impact report, but I think that should be required. I don't know if the council has the ability to make that a requirement, but I would hope so. In addition to the noise pollution of all the traffic and the inconvenience that will occur, that those are going to be mostly gas-powered vehicles, and there's going to be a lot more greenhouse gases in the area, which aren't good for people or for wildlife or for flora and fauna. So it's exactly opposed to the city's policy of increasing housing in transportation hubs. That's why that policy exists. So I would hope that you add a environmental impact report to the requirements for the developer. Also, it's putting the cart before the horse. It really should become a progress process at the county, and then later, if need be, the city can reconsider it. Thank you.
Doug Harlberg.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Hello, this is Doug. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. I'll try and keep it under 2 minutes. First, I want to say thank you to the council. I've been to city council meetings before, but this is the first time on Zoom. I lived in Walnut Creek for the last 20 years. And actually before I went off to college. I live very close to the Hale Ranch area, and it's literally, I see it out my backyard. I'm very much a environmental person, and I would like some of the comments here are people saying that, you know, let's try and keep it its natural beauty, maybe an extension of Heather Farm Park. I do, however, understand that there are impeding forces to build upon it, but I think the proposed plan is way too extreme. We're basically letting a corporation build in a backyard, which, you know, you might as well let build a Walmart or a Target, because to me it's basically the same thing. I think we want to look at smart development, but I'd say think as some of the previous people have said. To me, this is a real treasure. I see deer, I see hawks, I see owls. I know the Lindsay Wildlife Museum is very much a part of this. And I think with the recent effort for climate change and trying to get this under our belt, I think this development goes in the complete opposite direction. And I think Walnut Creek has a real opportunity here to be a real leader, to have some smart growth. So again, I'd like a further review and an environmental impact report. I'm not happy about having a closed door session without public input. So I asked the council to reconsider and to have public input. And I think the 700 or so signed petitions that we have is just a small cry to what we could get. I know that there's been work, but it's a small pittance compared to how many people I think if they knew about this would actually be opposed to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Are there any more speakers?
I do not see any additional speakers.
Okay, at this moment, we will close the session. And
Mayor?
we will,
Could I interrupt for a moment? I would like to ask the city attorney a couple of questions before we adjourn into closed session, if I might, and I did clear it with him before. So it's not coming as a surprise.
okay, feel free, go for it.
Thank you very much. Steve, we've had some comments tonight about transparency. Why are we in closed session? Environmental impact report. So if I could ask a few questions, since I assume the speakers are still listening. First of all, the land in question is, there's a small strip of land that's in the city, but the property itself that is being proposed for the development is in fact in unincorporated Walnut Creek, correct?
That is correct.
So that would put it under the purview of the county and the county board of supervisors for the actual land use on this land.
That is correct, and the applicant does have an application in with the county right now.
So a number of the speakers said, please require an environmental impact report. Is the county requiring an environmental impact report on the project itself?
The county is requiring an environmental impact report, and as one of the speakers indicated, that the planning staff in the county have identified that they think that the project would be considered sometime next summer by the county after the EIR is complete.
So at that point, the county board of supervisors, actually the county planning commission would probably look at it first, and then the county board of supervisors.
That's correct.
We will be looking at the environmental impact impacts, including traffic, noise, the vehicle miles traveled questions, the housing issues.
Correct. They would be scoping the environmental impact report initially, and then the draft environmental impact report would cover those types of topics. The city staff would be, amongst many other agencies, would be providing comments on that EIR as well to address environmental concerns that may come from the city, including the council may see that as well before it's submitted.
So we will also be able to rely on that environmental impact report for any questions vis-a-vis the traffic impacts on Marchbanks, Kinross, et cetera.
That is correct, yes.
All right. And why are we doing this in closed session, and what are we actually, why are we doing this in closed session? Because there seems to be some question about that.
Correct. So the city does own a very small strip of property. It's roughly 50 square feet, but the city does own that. That was conveyed back to the city back in 1970. And so if this project were to proceed, and if there were to be any access off Kinross, that small piece of property would be necessary for that to happen. We are in closed session because that's real property. And when you have real property negotiations, there can be a discussion with the council in closed session because you're negotiating over property value. I want to be very clear. The council has not made a commitment to sell the property yet, but for the council to even consider issues related to this, you would go into closed session for price and terms.
And ultimately, if we were to decide to sell this property, we would have an open session meeting in which
Correct.
we would be debating it, and
yeah, the council would be required to have it
from the public.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting. Yes, the council would be required to have an open session, and the issue would be considered in public with any terms that might be considered.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate the clarification.
Thank you.
Since I don't see any more questions from the council, We are now going into closed session. We have a couple of topics. We will try to be back by 6 o'clock to open our regularly scheduled meeting. See you all then.